Welcome back, friends. The BGE team has a very special guest today. Please welcome Love Bailey. We are so excited to talk to you today.
Hi, y'all.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, especially during the holidays and stuff.
During Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Not any holiday.
No, it's a
We're
very
gonna-
special holiday.
We're going to colonize this for our own gender exploration.
Good. That's what we should be celebrating, honestly. So, looking at your socials, we noticed that you have like projects going on all the time. You're a very busy person, which is awesome. And we're wondering what projects are you working on right now?
So I'm launching my new music video called Hornacia, and it's for a single that I wrote during the pandemic, during the Panasonic, the Pandemi Lovato. At a time when I was really going through it with this whole Marilyn Manson thing, and we'll get to that later. But this is kind of like my phoenix rising and my claim to like find my empowerment again and to rise up through the ashes. And I made this really fun, horny track, and I made a music video with some of the queers that I love. And yeah, we're gonna launch it next week or so, something like that. We're gonna launch it. So I'm really excited.
That's great.
That's so exciting and so soon.
What date, just in case? Because for the people watching and listening.
Yeah, we don't have a date yet, but it's supposed to be like around December 11th, December 8th, something like that.
Sounds great. Well,
Yeah.
We'll definely post whenever it is. So.
I love that. And Mariano is actually in the music video. Come say hi. Mariano, hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So nice to meet you.
Good. Yeah, I was part of one of the dancers, and I helped with the core. We changed this bar into this glamorous, beautiful place, nightclub,
burlesque nightclub.
Yeah, with like velvet, like curtains and
it was sexy.
Pants. Yeah, so cool. So
we're a small production.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Small one.
Yeah.
There's always a lot of work behind
the scenes.
Yeah, always. So yeah, we're excited to see how the music video,
how it turns out.
Yeah. So yeah, we're excited.
They're gonna watch it tonight on the big screen. So.
Oh, that's so fun!
We'll
have fun with that, guys.
Yeah.
No, the song is bomb.
Yes, so everyone go listen to it after this interview.
Yeah.
How has music impacted your life?
Music is very healing for me. I would say my mother, she was in a rock and roll band before she went to prison, and I crawled up in her bass drum every time I would fall asleep. I would just crawl up there, and that's why rhythm is a part of me. So I became a dancer because rhythm is like so a part of my soul. And I wasn't really able, I was more into fashion and dance, and I sort of like found music when I needed to like find my truth and speak my voice. And like it was so empowering me to use my voice and to conjure words and to talk about my story and my struggles through music and pair that with visuals. That's where my soul really feels the best, and I really feel the most liberated when I can tell my story through fashion, music, dance, costume, fantasy. That's kind of my calling to this fucked up planet.
It sounds like the perfect medium for like everything to kind of come together and just create something beautiful.
Yeah, I feel like media and art is such a great outlet for everything.
Yeah.
Totally.
We all can connect. We all can relate to something.
That is very true.
Well, some of us, you know.
Totally.
Except the ones that are shooting down, you know, gay nightclubs.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is the world we live in.
If all of us would have some sort of outlet to release our pain, to release our emotions, I feel like the world would be a better place. But unfortunately, we don't want people, or the society, the man, and the government doesn't want you to have that source of release. And so a lot of people are pent up and frustrated, and these religious groups keep pushing these agendas So it's unfortunate, but it's more now more than ever. These artists, including myself, we have to come together and show people the way by example. So hopefully we can do that. Share the love.
Yeah, art has the power to change the world for sure.
I think that's in my Instagram bio.
Is it? Oh yeah, I think you say that every now and again. Are there any artists in particular that you draw inspiration from or admire? Bye, Kaitlynn. She'll be back.
I am really fond of Zachary Drucker. Zachary Drucker is a trans writer, director, producer. She produced Transparent, a film that I was on. And I really admire her. She's very young and she's a trailblazer in the industry. But as we know, Hollywood isn't really fond of women directors and running the show, let alone a trans woman running the show. So it's kind of unheard of what she's able to accomplish. So I really admire her and I looked up to her.
That's wonderful.
I love that. And trailblazer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little topic switch from music. We love that you created Savage Ranch. Can you explain what it is and why it was so important for you to create this space?
Well, we are here. So here is Savage Ranch.
I love that staircase.
Yeah, the spiral staircase. So fantasy.
Cool.
In Transmecula. Temecula, which I've colonized as Transmecula, is a Republican town where there is no gay clubs. There's maybe one drag brunch that happens. There's a lot of religious groups. It's a wine country, so people come to have a good time. So it's not as repressed as some other places. However, the core of its values is very patriarchal and Republican. So needless to say, this is a beacon of light in a town that doesn't really have that. This doesn't exist. So when I came here, my mother came here first, and she started an animal rescue. And she called me up. I was working as a fashion stylist in New York, and she was like, "Come home, stop living the gypsy lifestyle. I bought a house for you up the hill." And I turned it into an artist sanctuary because this land is also very magical. And I felt like it was very important for me to take this privilege that I was blessed with and give it and share it to the ones I love. And it's been a blessing. We've had raves here, which are so much fun, and all kinds of art gatherings and workshops, and artists come and stay in the bungalows. We rent it out for Airbnb. On Peerspace, people come and do their photo shoots. So it's just a mecca of creativity. And when you're on this land, you're inspired and you can't help but want to create, and it sort of relaxes the concrete jungle, and you don't think about the problems of the world when you're here in this beautiful place. So
yeah, I think on Airbnb I saw a listing and everything was just blue.
That's the blue room in there. Mostly everything's red. So if you see, like, this is the red sort of living room, and then upstairs, that's my room. So that's all red up there. But the blue room is the guest bedroom.
It's so great that people have a space where they know, like, I'm fully accepted and safe.
Yeah.
Especially, like, traveling and stuff. You'd never know, like, what could happen and how people will react.
My mother's a butch-ass lesbian, so you can rest assured that it's the gayest thing you'll ever see.
I love that so much, especially in Texas. People need that.
We actually, we're accepting of straight people, but I myself am, I have a lot of trauma from straight people. Straight people can be really mean and cruel to trans people, especially, and also to queer people. But so we're accepting of all, but if there is any prejudice or bigotry, homophobia, racism of any kind, like, that is the door, darling. Get on down the road, honey.
So I'm kind of curious. So it sounds like just a safe haven for just like a mixture of people, artists, people who need a safe space, people who are vacationing that need a safe space or a place where they're accepted, like Kaitlynn said. So how do people experience the ranch? Like, how did that process work?
Yeah, Peerspace and Airbnb are the two platforms that people like that are just, you know, outsiders can come experience. I do welcome people to slide in our DMs on Savage Ranch on Instagram or Love is Bailey on my Instagram. And I'll give you my email. And then from there, you have to give me a proposal as to what you want to create, what body of work you want to create, why you want to come here, why it's important to you, and what you want to leave behind, how you want to see the space to grow. And we welcome that sort of energy. It's not really like people think it's a sex orgy or it's a cult or all that bullshit. And like, while we do, you know, allow people to explore their sexual desires in, you know, consensually, of course, it's not that really, that's not why I created this space. You know, I want people to have a purpose with whatever their intentions are, and to really think about the land and think about their art beyond just the superficial.
That's really beautiful.
I really love that. The what do you want to leave behind, or how do you want to impact the space?
Yeah.
I love that.
How do you want to impact Mother Earth? How do you want to
Yeah.
take care of this land when you're gone?
Well, speaking of impact, that we have a big question for you.
Yeah. How big?
Like, no, I'll just ask it. So, what is your legacy? Like, one or two things that you would want the world to remember about you?
Oh gosh. I'm a Libra, so I guess the balance of being connected to your inner savage, your inner wildness, but also your ability to create and manifest and to nurture and to care for others and to create connectivity and community and to ignite a flame within someone's soul, someone who may be, you know, living as a zombie or, you know, working that 9 to 5 and don't have a sense of purpose. I help ignite people's purpose on life, and through me, for whatever reason, they're able to mirror their own potential. And I want people to achieve their biggest potential and to find that calling within themselves. So I hope I'm able to mirror that in others.
I feel like we just keep saying I love that, but I mean,
know.
it's true.
You promise?
Yeah.
Like, not enough people do that, and that's, I don't know. Again, that goes back to like, what do you want to leave behind, like in the world, and how do you want to impact the space around you? Like, that's so beautiful, and a lot of people have trouble tapping into that themselves. Yeah. So being like a guide to creativity, that's really beautiful.
Yeah. And also like just wanting to make a difference and positively, like with our podcast, our whole goal is to like raise awareness for queer media and just advocate for like more and just create a safe space for people. So it's always great talking to people who are doing something like that in other spaces as well.
We need rebels with a cause. You know, there's like the idea of punk has transformed, and now it's like cooler to be, it's more punk to be someone who's like helping advocate for others and helping save this fucked up situation. I think to me that's more punk than someone who's actively like trying to destroy every system. And like you know, we have to like come together and bring people together to help us in this weird transition right now, because the world is going through a transition and it's going to be really uncomfortable before it gets better. But we need more forward thinkers, more inventors, more visionaires to come forward and to help us out of this really dark time. So I hope we can all do that.
Yes. Focus on building versus tearing things down.
Please, because some days it just seems so difficult.
Even on social media, this idea of cancel culture, like everyone thinks they're a social warrior. Everyone thinks they're calling out somebody and holding them accountable. And while I, you know, advocate for people to use their voice, and I've counseled Marilyn Manson, we all know, it's like there is a time and a place when that is very necessary. But as a whole, we have taken it too far. And there are times when I've come out about, you know, advocating for trans people to get the medical surgery they want. All of a sudden, the non-binary community comes out of the woodwork to cancel me. And it's strange because it's usually like these cis men with long hair that are like the new hippies. And now they know more about my experience than I do myself. And so now they're like pointing the finger at me. And I'm a trans woman talking from my own experience, my own lived experience, what I would like to see and how I want to advocate for that. So we have to, when we're like, the leftist has become so much more rigid now, we have to like understand that balance in life, because cancel culture doesn't work. If you want to like be a social justice warrior, go out and vote, go out and like, you know, be the mayor, be the person who's in charge of X, Y, and Z, like go out into these arenas where none of us exist. Like that's going to make change, versus like you talking into a bubble with people who are patting you on the back saying, oh yeah, how dare that person do that something. It's not going to do any change. It's not going to do any good. So that's what I hope for, like in terms of cancel culture.
I feel like people think there's like a right way and a wrong way, and like, but there's like no area around it, kind of like gender in itself. Like there's no deviation from that, but that's not realistic.
Gender has become so rigid now that it doesn't leave room for exploration. It doesn't make someone who's questioning themselves want to explore, because now it's like, oh, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, who am I to say what your expression is or who you are? That's not up for my interpretation. That's up for you to figure out.
Yeah, and I feel like it's important, like you said, like to listen to people for their experiences, because everyone has a unique experience, a unique journey through life, and like we should be listening and not like projecting onto other people's experiences.
Totally.
Starting to get a little like angry, because like whenever we talk about these things, I'm just like, God, like it's so frustrating.
It is. It's okay to be mad, but we can't be bitter. We're too pretty for
that.
Totally.
Love it.
All right. So to segue just a little bit, I guess kind of on topic. So one of your Instagram posts states that your transition was a radical act of self-love. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey with that?
So in order to transition, at least in America,
yeah,
you have to deem yourself gender dysphoric. And it's sort of a backwards way of saying you're crazy, you're cuckoo crazy, and you need this surgery to help you with your cuckoo crazy syndrome. And as much as like I will sign up for that and I will tell them what they want to hear so that I can get my free surge, at the core of my transition, I don't feel crazy. I don't feel cuckoo. I don't feel delusional. I don't feel like I have mental illness because of that. I think my mental illness comes from society, and when people accost me in the Ralph's fucking shopping center for using my designated bathroom, telling me I need to use a men's restroom, I'm now having to deal with that rage from that person accosting me. So that's where my mental health is. It's not from my sense of identity. So when I say my sense of identity is a radical act of self-love, it's a courage, it's a calling to be who I want to be. It's me taking that leap of faith, saying, this is who I am. And to me, that's a radical act of self-love.
I love it.
No, yeah, we're like so trying beautiful. To not say I love it. No, but
yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sorry that people do stuff like that, because you don't deserve that, and nobody does, just for being you.
It's for going piss.
Yeah, for trying to pee.
I'm trying to pee, goddammit.
I know.
And get my avocados, okay?
Oh my gosh. Well, since we were on the topic of America, what has been your experience been like being trans in America specifically? I know you just talked a little bit about it, but
terrible, appalling, embarrassing, humiliating, degrading. Yeah. But thanks to Obamacare, I have new breasts.
Thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Obama.
That's great.
We love you.
We do.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's my experience.
Hopefully,
We're
it gets
sorry that
better.
has been your experience in America.
Like
Because America.
that's why we have to stay so close to our queer bubbles, because that is where I feel loved. That's where I feel
Totally.
validated, protected, nourished, inspired, is with the angels I surround myself with. However, that's not the case when you go into these public spaces where these bigots are just free to do whatever they want, and they're inspired to do that because these political leaders are inspiring people to act out and to be violent and to degrade humans for just their lifestyle choices, quote unquote, for existing, for being different, for being not the status quo. These bigots are running around, killing people, and they're free to do that now because the political propaganda is telling them that it's okay. So that's why it's important for us to come together and to like create more of these queer safe bubbles, safe havens.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Especially when it comes to like queer youth and trans kids. And so if you could give a message to like the trans kids across the world, like what would you say to them?
Well, first of all, me even speaking on that, I'm going to be like thought of as a groomer, which is so disgusting when all of us have an inner child that we're trying to protect. So really, it's not me speaking to another child. It's me speaking to my inner child and knowing what I would have wanted for myself at a young age. So for one, we didn't have heroes growing up. So I had no one to mirror what I wanted to be when I was older. So it took me longer to transition and find myself, it's actually, if I had someone, I might have transitioned sooner and it would have been easier. I would have had to gone through less surgeries to become the woman I am today. Now, of course, there's this whole debate whether like surgeries are safe and hormones are safe. That's something up to a doctor. And I hope that licensed practitioner is like understanding the effects on the body and can make those choices. I cannot make that for you, but I can say for myself, transitioning later, I had to go through more pain and suffering than if I was to change the effects of hormones at an earlier age. So I hope that, me existing and mirroring that can help someone else make their own choices and decisions. I am not trying to groom anyone into being something that I want to see. I think that's so ridiculous how they want to make their children the scapegoat for everything, but while they're actually doing that, they're like putting children in concentration camps. They're kicking out their kids for their lifestyle choices, making them homeless. So when we have these holidays, these kids are coming to the ranch. I have to save them. I have to feed them. I have to nurture them. I have to take care of them because the parents of bigots who are saying the same things as you're a groomer, you're this, have outcasted their children. So if they really cared about kids that much, why are these kids put in concentration camps? Why are they kicking out why is all the queer youth homeless if they cared so much about their child? So it's the Hippocrates of it all. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating, and the cognitive dissonance is wild.
I'm over here getting more angry.
But
the mental illness of America.
Yes, but to your point, to like speaking to your, like we talk about this on the podcast all the time when we talk about representation in the different forms, and it's always comes down to like, well, if I had this when I was a kid, this would have helped me, like, and that's so important. So representation really does matter. So like, thank you for being representation for. So there is somebody out there who sees you and is like, oh yes, and it helps them. It does. It makes a difference.
And as much as I love like nurturing children, like I myself don't actually want to be near children. So for your bigots out there that think we're groomers, like please keep your children away from me. I don't want your children running around. I don't want to hear your child whining. I don't want to hear you yelling at your children in a public bathroom while I'm trying to take a piss in peace. Please stop. Thanks.
If you could go back to yourself, like talk to yourself when you were 10 years old, what would you say? Or would you give advice or say something about your future?
Yeah, I mean, as a child, I was always told that I was never going to amount to anything. And I would have to say, like, the pain and struggling that you are suffering now is only temporary. And if you could only just like find that inner flame, like you'll never be alone, and you'll always have a place to call home if you find that home within yourself.
Oh my God, I
Well,
wish I
they're
had
wrong
heard that when
because
I
you're
was younger.
killing it.
Jeez, that's so good.
Yeah, I mean, it's my inner saboteur, right?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, so everyone out there, I hope
Yeah,
your inner child got something from that. It's mine did.
yeah.
Okay, so to switch gears just a little bit, well, kind of a lot. Is there something you have in your life that you can absolutely cannot live without? It doesn't
Ooh,
have to be a tangible thing.
well, I mean, logistically, water. I mean,
Yes.
air,
Yes.
water, food,
I
practicality.
Oxygen.
But I would have to say music, dance, fashion, glamour.
Ooh, glamour, yes.
I need glamour in my life. I need to
Yes.
be. Come on.
Life would be so boring without it.
I know.
Yeah.
Do you feel like fashion like really tells people who you are?
I think fashion is another form of capitalism that's been manipulated in the wrong hands of the wrong people. However, there are artisans to this day that still work in fashion, upholding the idea of fantasy and the idea of dressing for pleasure, the idea of finding your identity through fashion, which is very sacred. So I do think there are people, artisans, that are actively working in that space to change that system. However, the way fashion makes its money and revenue, and how, every year a company has to keep growing or it's not doing its thing, I think that system has to be changed because it's really destroying the planet at a rapid pace. And then fashion is becoming so fleeting, instead of like, coveting a piece and holding that piece in your closet forever and passing it on for generations. You see fast fashion just regurgitated for the masses, and now it ends up in a landfill after you've worn it once. So we
When I
have
was
to
little,
understand.
I thought you could only wear clothes once because like I always heard that on TV for some reason. And like characters never wear the same outfits. So yeah, for so long I thought you could only wear it once. So I was like always embarrassed to wear stuff over and over. It's just society is weird.
Yeah, we can also be more creative. Like, we don't know
Totally.
that, like, you could take a shirt and sew it together with another shirt, tied around your waist, and all of a sudden it's a skirt. Like, we don't know how to do these things because we're not taught DIY anymore. It used to be more punk. You were like putting studs in your jacket, you're painting this and painting that. And if you had a Converse that was like fucked up, you just spray painted it and you'd like give things new life. But we're not teaching people to do that anymore. We're like, I don't know what's going on. Like, everything is so capitalism.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
guess
then
that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
also, then people lose that connection because, like you were saying, like fashion is just it loses its essence when it's just like this thing you buy and toss away versus like this thing that like can connect you to like who you are and how you feel and things like that. That I feel like is very lost in translation now. It's very
I
sad.
feel the best personally when I have made my piece or I've put my hands on it in some way. I feel is like a spell of liberation.
Yeah.
And I feel so empowered. I feel like I'm on top of the world because I've made that piece, because I've
Yeah.
sewn it or recreated it or painted it or add my flair to it. Suddenly it's a spell of love to myself. So what we need to use
Yeah.
our hands. They don't want us to use our hands with technology. They don't want us to know that we have this innate power. They want us to rely on these sources and spend more money. So if we can all just
Yeah.
stop doing that and just figure out what craft we can learn or pick up, like, we all have the power to do it. But for some reason we think that, oh, we can't be an artist, or we don't have that. I'm not an artist, I'm not a good this, or I'm not a good that. And we put ourselves down instead of trying to discover, maybe falling down a few times and feeling stupid, but ultimately finding that little creative spark, like we all have it. So it's silly to say that you're not going to be a good dancer, you're not going to be a good this. It's like, who says who?
Yeah, I feel like often too it gets tethered to like making money, where it's like art does not have to be monetized. Like that's ingrained in us too. Like it's about like feeling and expressing and just doing it. It doesn't have to be good. It's just I made this. Like there's no feeling like that. Like I made this thing.
It has to feel good to you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We should all make a
yeah.
picture with macaroni.
Do it.
I don't know why that's what was in my head, but that's what came out of my mouth.
Then we can cook it and eat it.
Yeah.
Just don't paint it then.
Okay. Or use glue.
Or glitter. None of that.
So basically, don't create art.
Don't
Just
do it.
throw it in the pot.
Throw in the pot. I mean, that's art too.
It is.
Yes.
It's
Actually, yeah. Cooking is an art
Yeah.
that I'm really bad at. Anyway.
Stop telling yourself that.
Yeah, Kaitlynn.
That is true. Yeah. I'll work on it. Oh well.
Macaroni in a pot. That's some wet ass pussy. All right.
Thank you for going there.
My song's called Hornacia after all. What'd you think?
Well, we're here for it.
I'm a sex siren. What can I say?
You do you. Empower everybody around you.
I will.
Exactly.
What are you most proud of in your life?
My she-ness. No. What am I most proud of? I don't know. There's so many things to be proud of in this world. So many things. I think I'm proud of the fact that I haven't given up when everyone has told me that you're never going to amount to anything. You're not going to make a pretty woman. You're not going to become a talented singer. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. In the face of oppression, I actually rise up and I've not quit. So I'm thankful for that.
Yes, resiliency is not an easy thing to do. That is definitely something to be proud of.
Yeah. So yeah.
Is there anything you want people to know about you as a person or as an artist?
I'm a terrible person. Don't listen to what you hear.
No.
I don't know. I think you got a sense of who I am. You know, I'm also not Mother Teresa, so don't take this and think I'm like the perfect person. You know, I go through some shit. That's why I have a therapist. We're working on cognitive therapy right now.
Yes, therapy.
Yeah, no, I definitely have my mood swings. And we all do. We all go through some shit. So, you know, pick yourself back up when you fall down, and, you know, that will define your character, is like how fast you can get back up.
Absolutely. Well, that is the conclusion of our questions. We just want to thank you so much for being here. But before we sign off, do you have any final words for our listeners at home before we conclude?
Tune in, subscribe if you liked what you heard. Follow me on Instagram, Love is Bailey. On TikTok, Love Bailey. On Savage Ranch on Instagram. I have a YouTube channel, Slather Studios, where I'll be posting my latest single, Hornacia, my music video. It'll be available on Spotify, iTunes, all the things. And tune in, download, and support queer art, because, you know, we're independent artists. We're not backed by a lot of money. It takes a lot of money and resources to do what we do. So we really appreciate your support.
And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all of our other episodes right here on YouTube. Please leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing and super gay content.
Until next time, stay safe and hydrate for lesbian Jesus.